ISIS says it is about Islam, but the proof is that it is mainly about the worst of human behavior. Women, often very young, humiliated, battered, kidnapped, and worse, raped repeatedly by members of ISIS and used as sex slaves. CNN's Ivan Watson spoke to a young victim and brings us her horrifying and even worse, not uncommon story. He's live from Istanbul this morning. Ivan.
Chris, that's right. This is not an easy story to tell, not only because it's so barbaric, but also because the scale of it. Back in August, when ISIS attacked into new areas and drove hundreds of thousands of Iraqis from the minority Yazidi group fleeing in exodus, they also took thousands of Yazidi women hostage. Many of them have still been held. We got to speak to one woman who was rescued.
Jana was a 19-year-old high school senior with dreams of becoming a doctor when ISIS first came to her village.
They came to the village and said, "You have to convert to Islam or we will kill you."
Jana, not her real name, is from the village of Kocho, a community of ethnic Kurds from the Yazidi religious minority, which was surrounded and occupied by ISIS early last August. Soon after, Jana says ISIS ordered the entire village to go to the school, where they separated the men from the women. According to a United Nations report, ISIS then gathered all males older than 10 years of age, took them outside the village by pickup trucks, and shot them. A different fate lay in store for the women.
They separated the girls and the women who had children and the old women. They took us girls to Mosul, to a big 3-story house.
Jana says there were hundreds of girls in the house, and they got visits from the men of ISIS.
They came to the room and looked around at the girls, and if they liked one, they chose her and took her. If the girls cried and didn't want to leave, they beat the girl. The guy who chose me was 70 years old, and he took me to his house. There were 40 girls there already. They hit us, and they didn't give us enough to eat or drink. They told us we were infidels. He put me in a room and put a gun to my head, and I was on the ground. And he said, "I will kill you because you won't convert to Islam." That night they came and took an 11-year-old girl away. And when she came back, she told me they raped her.
Dr. Nazan Bagikhani is an advisor to the Kurdistan regional government and an expert on gender violence. She says ISIS kidnapped more than 2,500 Yazidi women last August. Since then, she says the captive women have been bought and sold across Iraq and Syria like cattle.
They had two main aims. First, to recruit youngsters by giving them these young girls and women. And secondly, to humiliate and expose these women into slavery and systematic rape.
Since August, Kurdish authorities succeeded in rescuing only a fraction of the thousands of kidnapped Yazidi women. Bagikhani says all of those rescued say they were raped.
If you could say something to the man who took you to his house, what would you want to tell this guy?
I don't want to tell him anything. I just want to kill him.
So of the thousands of women who've been held hostage in this way since last August, the Kurdish authorities have only been able to rescue about 100, in part by paying ransom to Arab tribesmen who act as middlemen. There is no white knight coming to save these women. There is an active war being fought. ISIS is still holding on to its front lines. When I met that 19-year-old girl, Jana, she told me before ISIS came to her village, she had dreams of becoming a doctor. Those dreams are gone. She says her father and eldest brother are believed to have been executed by ISIS, and get this, her mother and two of her brothers are still being held hostage. Allison and Chris.
Ivan Watson, what an incredible story. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. It's important to remember how appalling the things are that are happening over there.
Yeah, the war has a lot at stake. There's a lot going on, and that's why we have to stay focused on it.
Absolutely.